of marriage and boyfriends and girlfriends, and he said the difference is the paper, right? Correct? Did he say something like that, or am I misquoting you?
I said that those who defend fornication, right, in the West, argue that the only difference between fornication and marriage is a piece of paper.
Right, okay. What I wanted to ask the question is, I come from a place where predominantly they're non-Muslims, and so Muslims are a minority, and one of the things that we found at this point in time that there's a lot of things called de facto relationships. You're familiar with that term?
De facto
De facto relationships, yeah.
No.
Which is basically, it is about a man and a woman living together in a relationship, and the difference is that they don't have a marriage, they don't have a church ceremony or whatever it may be. So what we find at the moment with the Muslims in Australia, is that we have this problem of a lot of young people who want to get married, but they can't get married because of age being a factor, that if you are not over 18, you can't get married. So a lot of them are 16, 17, whatever, they'll get married. And so they have these de facto relationships, and unfortunately what ends up happening is once they hit 18 plus, they won't actually go and get an actual civil marriage, you know, a document that says so. And a lot of it is actually motivated by the fact that they, if say they come from lower income families, they would tend to get something called social security, so payments, etc. And so it actually opens it up to abuse. And so I wanted to get your take on that. Once they hit the age of 18, do you think it's an obligation as a Muslim to actually get that civil marriage, you know, finalized? Or can they just live in that relationship as, even though they have the Muslim marriage, the nikah, but they are actually considered de facto in the eyes of the law? Thank you so much.
Okay, de facto, we call that common law marriages. This is what in Canada and US, they usually refer to it as common law marriages, where people live together in a marital relationship, but there's no actual contract. Although what you're saying here is that this young man and woman, they went and got a nikah. They got an Islamic marriage done. So it's not the same from an Islamic perspective as those people who just live in the de facto relationship. From the eyes of the law, because the law doesn't recognize the marriage before that age, they refer to them as being in a de facto relationship. But from the perspective of Islamic law, they are married. Now, when they reach the age where the state will recognize that marriage, should they go and do the legal procedure? I would say yes. They should do it. It is better. There are rights and obligations which will be affected by them not doing it. So it is better for them to do it. But what is key is the nikah. That is what made them husband and wife.
Can I just clarify something? It's about what my question is that a lot of them will not actually do it because they actually stand to lose a lot in terms of financial support from the government. So a lot of them will, in the eyes of the government, they're actually not even married. So they will, if they have the male and the female both are getting an income. So a lot of them will actually not even do it. So, I mean, from a Sharia perspective, is that permissible for them to stay in that kind of state?
Well, from a Sharia perspective, is it a requirement for them to do the legal marriage according to that system? No. But if they are deceiving, they're deceiving the system, they're pretending to be what they're not. They're lying on documents that they're signing, and these are lies. These are all lies. This is not good. It's not a good state. it's like becomes a justification for taking things which aren't really your right. It becomes a form of begging, because you'll get benefits and so on. So it's begging, and of course begging is haram in Islam if you're capable of looking after yourself. So there's a lot of issues which are against the person staying there, because as a whole we don't want the Muslim community to be noted for these practices. We want to show ourselves as being in marriages which are legitimate marriages and so on, so that we have something wholesome to offer, not deceptive, sneaking around. I know in New York City there was a group. It's actually a distorted group, really not truly Islamic, called the Ansarullah. And the leader of the Ansar, I think you had a group which was something like this here in Malaysia, but anyway, leader of the group, he had all the women, when they got married, they wouldn't register their marriages, so they would continue to get government subsistence, and these monies would be all piled together and sent into the central treasury of the leader of the group, right? So what happened is that, of course, the women would get pregnant, and then they would have kids, and then when they would be asked, who's the father of the kids, they would say, we don't know, They came to be known in the social services as the holy whores. These were Muslims, and these are women with niqab. They're niqabbed, because in that group the women had to wear niqab, only eyes showing. They're coming in there so pious. They were called the holy whores. And we don't want that kind of image for Muslims, the Muslim community. We want to show that we have something which is of value, something where our principles, we uphold them, we stand by them, we don't twist and modify them, the way others have done. Where right becomes wrong, right from the past becomes wrong today, wrong from the past becomes right today. That's not us. We have firm principles that we live by.